We follow Marcus to what I can only describe as a control room of sorts. There are countless computer screens, some of which are obviously coming back on from having been shut off. Everything looks extremely complicated, from screens filled with code and data to what is obviously a security system. It reminds me of a miniaturized version of the Operations Center in just about every space travel movie I've ever seen. Marcus is running from one screen to another, apparently looking for some pertinent bits of information. "Where's the first aid kit?" I snap at him. Marcus stops in his tracks, as if he'd forgotten the whole reason for bringing us down here. "Oh, yeah," he says, rushing to the left side of the room. There, he hunkers down by an open panel in the wall, what I assume is the emergency vault from where he got the rifle. Look at the monitors here. I can make sense of very little that I see, mostly numbers, odd-looking maps, and charts, although they show what I assume is the working, beating heart of the peculiar facility Dennis and I have stumbled into. Aside from the charts, there are strolling numbers running around the bottom of the screen. Some are temperature readings, but that's all I can tell for sure. I see one screen in particular that I assume would mean bad news for anyone who uses the monitors for work. Failure. Trial 142B aborted. Error 4532-5. Danger. Anomaly detected. Marcus finally pulls out the first aid kit and turns around. When I look back to motion Dennis over, he's paler than ever. "Come on," I tell him, but he's not moving from the place on the floor where he sits against the wall. I slide the first aid kit over to him and go scrambling to his side. Between the struggle for the rifle upstairs and arriving in this room, he's faded fast. I struggle to lift the shirt up and then over his shoulders as the dry blood holds in its place. The mere act causes him to grimace. "This might hurt a little," I tell Dennis. He only nods and doesn't seem to care. "Let's go gentle, I don't want to reopen the wound." "Sorry, man." I lift the shirt off gently, and it makes a sucking sound. There's so much blood that the moisture tries to keep the shirt pulled to him. Dennis lets out a little moan, but seems to relax in spite of his injuries. With the shirt fully removed, the extent of his injuries becomes more clear. His wound is more visible now, although it's particularly hidden by the blood that has started to clot around it. My medical knowledge is slim, basically just a bunch of basics I learned in Boy Scouts. I look over to Marcus helpfully and ask, "You have any training?" "Zero," he says. "Sorry." It's just as well, I guess. He's far too concerned with what's happening on the monitors to be of much help anyway. I start by taking out several rolls of gauze within the kit and wipe as much blood as I can away from the wound at his side. It's even worse than I had figured from the start. The gash is deep and dark. I'm pretty sure it's infected too. He's going to need stitches, that's for sure. But I have no idea how to even start that. Besides, I don't see the tools for it in the kit. When I splash rubbing alcohol over the wound, he responds with a hoarse yelp of surprise, but nothing more. His eyes are locked on me, and he looks appreciative, but he's also scared. "Be honest," Dennis says hopefully. "How bad does it look? You think I'll live?" "You'll be fine, no problem." "Good to know," he says, "because I sure don't feel like it." "You've been through hell," I say. "I think it feels worse than it actually looks." "Thanks, that's a relief." "Won't lie, I'm gonna have a scar," I say, trying to be funny. He chuckles a bit, but there's no humor in it. He rests his head against the wall and closes his eyes as I finish up. I place one layer of gauze against the wound and bind it with medical tape. I then reinforce it with a second layer. I know it's meager, but it's all I can do. "Thanks, Roger," he says, actually managing to force out a smile. "I feel a lot better. I think I'll be fine." I'm not sure about that, but I'm glad I was able to encourage him. I look back to Marcus, and he's looking back at us, deep in thought. My eye is starting to really swell up from where he kicked me earlier. Maybe I shouldn't let him off so easy. "Are these first aid kits all you have in this facility?" I ask him. "If there's something better, I don't know about it," he says. I notice then that his defensive posture is no longer there. Something is different now, just a slight change to his demeanor. He's seen something on those monitors that has him frightened, more than he already was before. "What is it?" I ask. "What's wrong?" His eyes travel around the room, and it's obvious that he's trying to decide whether or not to tell me the truth. Alright, I'll look for myself. Rather than wait for him, I get up and scan the screens behind him, see if I can find any clues I had missed moments ago. After a few minutes, I see a few things that even I can comprehend, hidden in complex information on most of the screens. On one screen, I see what looks like a power meter that is slowly climbing upward. A single message is flashing beneath it. It reads, "Unexpected power failure. Foreign entity." Another message trickling down along the bottom of the black screen says, "Safety locks on level 3 containment doors engaged. Override?" I still see scenes on a few other screens that I assume are security cameras showing hallways and passages from elsewhere in the facility. One of them shows the first level hallway we were on just a few moments ago. Another shows the hallway I don't recognize. The floor is covered in blood. From just off the screen, I see what I think might be a human body, but it's bent in an impossible way. It looks like the body's legs and torso have somehow been merged or melted to the floor. What happened to that person? I have no idea, I didn't see it, he says. Whatever happened to that guy must have happened in the last minute or so. What the hell, I ask. There's something still happening? Are we still in danger? He turns away, clearly fearing he has already said too much. And as bad as that is, there's a scene over on another monitor that makes my blood go cold and fear spike to levels of somewhere near terror. The scene is very familiar. It's the logging site. The equipment is unmistakably mine. I can even see my truck. Something like fury starts to raise up in my guts, momentarily pushing aside the fear. For a moment, I consider just tearing into him, a few punches and a shove against the wall, nothing more. I want answers, and I want them now. But I'm not sure which would provide more answers, asking calmly or kicking his ass. Let's be as calm as possible in this situation. Can you please explain to me why you've been spying on my crew? My anger is prodding at me, and I have to hold it back again. It's near the surface, demanding a release. It was part of my job, mine and a few others. Your crew has been watched ever since you set up your equipment. Why? Because you're working with heavy equipment, some of which digs into the ground less than a mile from a secret government facility. I had no idea of that, I say. How could I have known? Marcus gives me that same crooked, trembling smile that is beginning to creep me out. Because those things would draw attention to this place, he says. You have no idea how secretive this facility is. Besides, I know that the higher-ups looked into it. Your site isn't on government land. It's shy by about 300 yards. Every piece of your equipment is on private property. The timber track you purchased from Mr. Gladstone 2 months ago? So even if we wanted to intervene and keep your crew away, we couldn't have without stirring up a fuss. The fact that someone with such low-level clearance knows this much about my logging crew is unnerving. If you've been watching us, why didn't you recognize us when we met in the hallway? I ask. He shakes his head and exhales, like it's obvious. The cameras have bird's eye view. I can't see faces. We just track bodies and names. So where the hell is my crew? Look, Marcus says, all of you were on site as usual before the incident. It had been a few hours since I had checked, though. I can tell he's starting to get rattled by this interrogation. He continues with his eyes fixed on the keyboard. They might have come near the facility, or maybe not. I don't know. I'd tell you if I did, okay? Well, are they inside the facility, I shout? You have cameras everywhere, right? Look for them. Marcus pulls his hands up defensively. I've been looking all over and I haven't seen your crew. But, he adds, the lower levels don't have any cameras, classified. I'm not sure how they would have gotten there, but it's a possibility. I'm still shocked that we were being watched. Did they know everything about us? I'm telling you, Marcus says, the depth of influence in this facility goes deep. There are 36 employees down here. Outside of those employees, only 5 other people know this place existed. Okay, let's be calm. What do all these people do here? I ask, keeping my voice level. He doesn't even pause to consider if he should go any further. He actually laughs when he gives me the answer. I actually don't know everything. Probably very little. But what I do know is that this is more than Black Ops. What does that mean, I ask. There are scientists here who have been disowned by their own governments because of the nature of their work. You get it now? I don't. Not at all. But I don't want him to know that. You said there are 36 employees, I say. Where are they now? He shakes his head. As far as I know, everyone else is gone. Gone where? He points to the screen that still informs us of the unexpected power failure and cringes. If this power failure was not corrected in time, there's no telling. But they're here in the facility somewhere, right? I ask, hoping someone will be able to help Dennis better than I can. I just don't know, Marcus says. They could be anywhere. Look, I say, furious with the way he's talking riddles. I don't... Oh, God. I look over to him and he looks as pale as a ghost. He stood up and his eyes are checking the monitor closest to him. What? I ask. He simply points to the monitor and then looks away. I look to the monitor and see the logging site. But more specifically, I see the overturned dozer and the legs sticking out from underneath it, wearing work boots, right where I left him. Tony. The fact of his death seems abstract almost, like it happened in some other world or a very long time ago. I know that you already told me he was gone, Dennis whispers, but it's different actually seeing him. My God. Suddenly something blazes by the open door outside. The shape is fast and in shadow, but I'm pretty sure it's a person. Someone else is here, Marcus says, wheeling around. He sounds very happy to discover this, so I try to follow his lead. If something bad happened at this facility, then surely the sight of another survivor is a good thing, right? We should check it out, he says. I realize this isn't the best moment to leave Dennis, after revisiting Tony's death all over again. Someone just ran by the door, I tell him. Hopefully it's someone who can help us. You gonna be okay? It's fine. Go see who it is, he says, giving me a mock thumbs up. I turn to Marcus and motion for us to head out to investigate. Let's be careful, Marcus says. Depending on who it is, they might not be as hesitant to shoot a stranger as I was. I nod at him and head for the door. I'm still holding the rifle in my hand, and I don't know if I have the guts to actually use it if needed. With a final look back to Dennis, I run out into the second-level hallway. Marcus follows. There is still fear in his eyes, but also the slightest glimmer of hope. The hope is contagious. We take off after the figure that just ran past the command center. Ahead of us, the facility presents yet another long hallway. Right away, I notice that this level of facility seems darker, even though the lights are all on now. The hallway is adorned with numbered yellow doorways and large white panels along the walls. It's clean and well maintained, but there's something ominous about it. Up ahead, I see the fleeting motion of something in the dark cutting quickly to the left down the corridor. There, I say, pointing ahead. Marcus gives a nod, and we continue chasing after the person we saw blaze by the command center just moments ago. It then occurs to me that this person could be like Marcus at first, armed and scared. Let's move slowly. When we reach the intersection in the hall where I'd seen the shadow moving, I ease around the corridor, just in case. Sure, I have the rifle in my hands, but I don't want to use it unless I have to. I quickly dart around the corner and take the same shooting stance I've seen countless times on TV. There's a woman standing there, about 10 feet away. She has reddish blonde hair and a small, mousy build. She looks terrified and is visibly shaken. She's probably in her late 30s, wearing a lab coat with dark jeans and green Converse low tops. I have a strange sense that her fear is not just about our sudden appearance. She looks like a woman who's been running scared for a while now. Her hands are raised in surrender. She's not holding a weapon. Marcus slowly approaches, taking a few steps ahead of me. It's Amy, right? He asks. She blinks, seemingly surprised that he knows her name. Yes. And you're Mark? Marcus. She nods absently and then looks to the rifle. I'm not going to use it. How do I know that? She asks. You're trespassing on government property in the midst of a huge, catastrophic event, and you have a rifle. How am I supposed to believe you? I have a friend back in the command center who needs medical attention, I say, and we're looking for the rest of our crew. I'm sorry, but I don't know where they are, she says. Do you know what happened? Marcus asks. From the power outage? I don't know what caused it, she says. But there was an experiment taking place while the outage occurred. Something happened and... She trails off, giving me a look of distrust. I saw things on the security monitors, Marcus says. The experiment failed, didn't it? I don't know any specifics, Amy says. I barely escaped the 3rd floor. I was going to go to the command center to see if the security force showed up, but then I saw you and the gun. Listening to their conversation, I'm feeling totally in the dark. What has you so scared? Amy looks to me, her eyes wide and terrified. Who are you, anyway? I quickly give her my story. A logger stranded in the woods following a peculiar explosion at the logging site. As I tell her, recognition blooms in her eyes. You're one of the loggers? Yes. She then looks to Marcus and says, I thought they were being watched. They were, Marcus says. This was a freak accident, and there's no proof that they were responsible. I feel myself wanting to submit to all the questions that are pulling up in my head, but Dennis is waiting for me. Yeah. I decide that despite my curiosity, I need to get Dennis help as soon as humanly possible. Look, is there any medical help to be had here or not? Probably, Amy says, but you'll have to find Colonel Barksdale. He knows where all this sorts of supplies are. And where is he? Where's everyone else? I ask. At this, Amy starts to weep. She falls to her knees, as if someone had struck her from behind. Gone, she says. Some were killed, and some were just... I don't know. They disappeared right in front of you. Disappeared? Yes, she answered. They were here 1 second and gone the next. Just... She snaps her fingers together for effect. Gone. Something's here with us, Amy says. We were conducting an experiment and it just all went horribly wrong. Something came through. Came through what? Marcus asks. I don't even know that much. An entity. But whatever it is, it's still here somewhere, Amy responds. How could you not know? Don't you have full security access, I ask? No, I have access to almost anything. But there are 2 levels of security beyond my clearance. So what do you suggest we do now, I ask. I'm not sure, she says, wiping her tears away. But if you want to find your crew, we need to find Barksdale. He's in charge. Where is he, I ask. Down on the 3rd level, in the hangar. Then let's go, I say. It's not that easy, Amy says, again looking to the rifle in my hands. Why not? Like I said, something came through when the power went out. There's several of them, all roaming the 3rd level. What came through? All I know is that the others referred to them as entities. Amy shuddered as she recalls the horror of what she's seen. I don't even know how to describe them. I didn't get a good look, she says. All I did was run for my life. Behind me, I just heard screams. I know it's not very scientific of me, but I didn't feel like sticking around to learn more. She's right, Marcus says, stopping my train of thought. The things I saw on the monitors. It was crazy. This is insane, I bark. I'm going to the 3rd level to find this Barksdale guy. Thanks for your help. Wait, Marcus said. I'm sticking with you. If we want to get out of here, we have to find Barksdale, right? Yes, Amy says. But Barksdale's on the 3rd floor, and it's too dangerous to go back there. I figure I'll let them make their own decisions. In the meantime, I start heading back to the command center to get Dennis. Before I get there, I hear their footfalls behind me, getting closer. I give Amy a questioning look, and she quickly looks away, clearly torn. Neither of you know your way around here, she says. Looking for Barksdale on your own would be suicide. Like it or not, she has a point. Fine, I say. Then let's get Dennis from the command center and head down together. Wow, this reading is dragging my throat out. We enter the command center, and I'm happy to see that Dennis has regained some of his color. We're going to get you some help, I tell him, and then we're going to find our crew and get the hell out of here. More help would be great, he says. With the way you took over an hour to get my shirt off earlier, I'm not letting you touch me again. Wait, Amy says. Maybe one of us should stay here with him. I'll be okay, Dennis says. He stands to his feet with a grunt. You don't know what's out there, Amy says. I saw them. I saw what they can do. This facility is not safe. can they do? Never mind, she says. Come on, we just need to be careful. Marcus looks a little hesitant, but he nods his agreement and the four of us exit the command center. Heading back out into the hallway, I look back to the monitors. I take a final look at the screen that shows my wrecked logging site and feel a pang of sorrow. Then I look at the other monitors, showing live feeds of the facility's security cameras. I try to tell myself that I'm not looking for any sign of Amy's creatures, but I can't. That's exactly what I'm doing, and there's no need to pretend otherwise. We head back through the hall and towards the elevator. The tension exists between us like a physical presence. We step inside the elevator, and those pristine doors close. Inside the elevator, Amy seems to become much more guarded and distant from us. I want to assure her that I mean her no harm, but I'm also not going to put the rifle down. So you have pretty high clearance in this place, right? I ask her. That's right. So what kind of experiments are we talking about? What went wrong? When she starts to answer my question, I can tell that it's something of a relief for her to get some of it off her chest. There's been a lot of work on a project taking place here over the last 3 years or so. The purpose is to find out if there's any real viable science behind point-to-point instination. I don't know that word. Like teleporting, I ask. Oh my god, Marcus says. I had no idea. I knew there was some weird stuff here, but nothing this insane. It's really not all that insane, Amy says. We found our first major breakthrough about 9 months ago. We were able to transport a live rat from his cage on level 3 to a small lab in New Mexico. The trip took the rat 5 seconds. Are you kidding me? Dennis says. I can tell that he wants to sound as if he is mocking the idea, but he fails. He is scared. Not at all, Amy says. The problem was that when the rat arrived, its retinas were detached and its intestines were on the outside of its body. What does this have to do with us now? Well, about 6 months ago, we successfully made that same experiment. The rat arrived in great health in this time in just 3 seconds. Still, one of the things that we needed to tweak in order to make the process completely safe was to figure out how to keep the subject on a straight course. When the matter is being transported, not only are its atoms being unknit and then put back together upon its arrival. Unknit? Yeah, deconstructed and translated through space. It's the only way we know how to do it right now. But the issue, as I said, comes in keeping the deconstructed subject on a straight course to its destination. When the process occurs, we are deforming space-time. We're creating a shortcut through space, and that has risks. What? Why exactly? Dennis asks. Because there are many more dimensions in space than the 3 we exist on, she explains. There's some evidence that there is as many as 10. So when you send the rat to New Mexico, it's traveling to another dimension to get there, I ask. Basically. And because of that, we are trying to get a better understanding of what these other dimensions are capable of. Things that a great deal of the population would have been scared of if they knew what we were doing, hence all the privacy. Then today, the power went out as we were right in the middle of an experiment. Something happened. What, I don't know. She's speaking with the authority of someone who knows what she's talking about. What have you seen in these dimensions? Other worlds, other Tegmark universes, where our laws of nature don't apply, she says, not bothering to explain what that means. I'm not cleared for such things, but I do get the reports. What reports? Marcus asks. I'm given access to the results of the tests. In other words, Marcus replies, clearly upset, you guys have been peeking into other dimensions and taking notes on what you see. I can't believe I've wasted my life for this, he murmurs to himself. It looks like he's starting to freak out. Amy is quiet. Whoop. Her expression indicates that she's waiting to see how I react to all of this. Oh, God. It is insane, but it's also incredible. Grab my charger real quick. incredible. So this is like an interdimensional stuff, I ask. In a way, Amy answers. Marcus, on the other hand, is incredulous. I don't want anything to do with this, he says. All this time I've been working for... He laughs cruelly, and the sound of it makes my blood go cold for a moment. Just a single level beneath my feet, you assholes have been tearing apart space and time, Marcus continues. When the elevator doors open, I can't get out fast enough. The tension is growing way too thick for my liking. Outside the elevator, we step out into what appears to be a massive industrial area. The carnage waiting for us is unlike anything I've seen in the upper levels. Yeah, it's a lot of blood. And in weird places. This area looks industrial, like everything was built for utility only. But more noticeable than that is all the blood. My God, I have never seen so much blood. These creatures must have had a field day. Holy shit, Marcus says, looking like a man that has just awoke from a very bad dream. There were more personnel in this area when the experiment went haywire, Amy says, as if the explanation makes it all better. The research you all do down here had better be worth it, I say. We have to get moving, or we're going to lose our nerve. Amy, let's focus. Barksdale's in the hangar, I ask. If he's still alive, yes, that's where he'll be. Then let's hurry, I say. As far as I can tell, Dennis is doing much better, but I'm beginning to grow tired of trying to keep my fear at bay. Between the blood on the floor, the silence in level 3, and Amy's talk of the lab rats, I'm getting freaked out. Amy knows the area, but I have the gun. Amy knows the area. The four of us start walking ahead, Amy taking the lead. We start walking when we come to the remains of what looks like 3 different people. It's hard to tell how many bodies there were because they had all been torn to shreds and are distorted. 2 of the bodies look like they have been fused together. Another man looks to have his leg welded through the floor. I can see this man's face. He died in an abject state of horror, his mouth pried open in an internal scream. Let's just keep moving. It's simply too much. Worse than that is the fact that we have just started our journey through level 3. If there is worse waiting ahead, I don't think I'm going to be able to make it. Dennis steps up beside me, and when he speaks, his voice is soft and flat. What the hell could do that to someone, he asks. The things I saw, Amy answered. They could do it pretty easily, I think. She looks pale, and I think she might pass out at any moment. Tears spill from her eyes, and she is visibly shaking. But she soldiers on, looking back to me and stepping to the side of the gruesome carnage. Her eyes again go to my rifle, and she doesn't look very hopeful. You good to go? She asks me. We need to move on, but for some reason I can't take my eyes off the scene. My mind is reeling, trying to process it all. Yeah, let's go. We'll leave the grisly slate behind, moving into another equally destroyed area. From what I can tell, the next room was once an open area for experimentation. The place hasn't just been destroyed, it has been physically altered in a way that makes no sense. The girders look like to have been warped. Their very material is distorted and twisted. To my right, a machine has been catapulted and looks to have somehow merged with the wall rather than crashing into it. Beyond these phenomena, there is a standard violence that I was expecting to see. There's a limp arm sticking out from underneath the wreckage and more blood. I see no signs of an explosion, which makes me wonder just how this all happened. Seeing the aftermath is sickening enough, but it makes me wonder if Amy saw it while it was happening. So what happened to the girders? Only caught a glimpse of it, she says. It was like trying to focus your eye on something that was too close. They just started twisting, but not creaking or breaking. It's like these creatures were able to deform matter. She pauses here. That's when we hear something echo through the facility. It comes from behind us, slightly to the right. I'm not sure what it is, but it makes my blood feel like ice. It sounds almost like static from an AM radio, but there is a high-pitched noise beneath it that I can't start to fathom. What the hell is that, I ask, instantly clapping my hands to my ears. One of them, Amy says, her voice a whisper. One of the creatures. That's what they sound like? Dennis asks. I see that he's leaning against the wall again, wincing at the noise. I suddenly realize that I have a death grip on the rifle, ready to shoot at the next thing I see. Anything between us and them? Not really, she says. None of the hallways are blocked off by secure doors. Everyone seems to take this as the cue to start moving again. We make our way around the office wreckage, now with a purpose in our step. We barely make it to the other side of the room, approaching a dark hallway, when another high-pitched noise sounds out. This one's louder, closer. We all share a terrified look, and I can tell Amy is on the verge of losing it. We grip the rifle tightly as we head towards the hallway in front of us. How much further to the hangar? Close, she says. It's just at the end of this hallway. Dennis speaks up, his voice like ice. Why don't we just haul ass then, huh? No one says anything after that, but I can feel the presence and terror around us, pressing in on us like some new violent gravity. The small utility hallway is well lit. It looks as if it was designed to only be used by select maintenance workers. What goes on in this area, I ask. I'm looking at Marcus as I ask the question, but he only shrugs in response. She might know, he replies, pointing to Amy. I've never been down here before. It's just a utility hallway, Amy says, but at the end there's a maintenance room. Should be a gun or two in there. It's also the most direct path to the hangar entrance. As we walk quickly and quietly down the hall, I take a glimpse ahead and feel the hair in the back of my neck stand on end. The lights become more sparsely spaced, and it's impossible to see just how far the hall extends into the darkness. This hall has the occasional trace of bloodshed, but nothing like the main area where we've come from. We continue further down, as just as I begin to see what looks like a large metal door further ahead, I hear yet another shrill sound. This one sounds further away, but no less demonic. How many of these things did you see? Dennis asked Amy. 3, but that's just what I saw. There could be more. What did they look like? Dennis asks. Yeah, what are we dealing with? I don't even know how to explain them, she says. Monsters. That's the only word I can think of. My mind seems to struggle just to be able to understand what I was seeing. They're big, and they seem to jerk around every few feet or so. They look like they're made of light. That's all I know about them for sure. You know, my ex-husband always said I'd let my work kill me, she continues, seeming unable to stop herself. I mean, I doubt he imagined this exact scenario, but still. As we make our way down the hangar doors, another high-pitched noise rings out, angrier now. Amy stops walking, causing all of us to stop and turn to her. We have to do something to slow those things down. No, Marcus snaps. There's no time. We need to distance ourselves and get to the hangars fast. Amy ignores him, deep in thought. There's an old hydraulic door set into the wall right here. Hasn't been used in years, though. She looks to me, pleading her case. Together, we might be able to pull it close behind us to keep those things back. Those old hydraulic doors weigh a ton, Marcus says. There's no way it'll work. Roger, Amy says. What do you think? They'll have a harder time getting to us if these doors are locked. Look, Marcus shouts, turning to me. We need to get to the hangar, now. Both of these are really good points. If these things can warp, like, materials, then there's no guarantee that the door will stop it. So let's just keep moving to the hangar. No, I say to the group. With all the carnage back there, I doubt we could stop them. That's what I'm saying, Marcus agrees. Let's haul ass. Amy tries to speak up, but the rest of us are already running down the hallway. I speed towards the hangar doors, not even looking back to see how far Amy has fallen behind us. Panic and hope are fighting within me, and I can't stop myself from sprinting. The fact that yet another shrill noise stands out somewhere else in the vicinity is not calming. And then there are two of them. It's almost like they are calling out to one another. The doors to the hangar sit up ahead like the entrance to some enormous labyrinth. When we reach the hangar doors, I get a true sense of how impenetrable they are. A computer terminal is mounted on the wall nearby and has a blinking red light. Any idea what this means? It's an automatic lock, a fail-safe from the lockdown, says Amy. I've never been down here before, Marcus says. If I had known this door was here, I would have opened it earlier. How? Amy asks, the fear in her voice is more present than ever. From the command center, he says. You need to override from there first, then use this terminal to open the hangar doors. The command center on the second floor, I ask. Yeah. Amy shakes her head and lets out a nervous laugh. Do you hear those things? She asks. There's no way in hell I'm going back towards them through the small hallway. If we want to get in the hangar, we have to go back to the command center, Marcus says. Isn't there another way? Turning to Marcus, Amy replies, Well, there is another elevator, but we need to go through biochem storage. I need to stay with Dennis so he can rest, I say. You two go. You know your way around this place, and you know the controls, Marcus. Fine. But we'll need to be armed. Marcus, I don't trust you not to shoot her. I hand Amy the rifle, and she turns to go. Marcus gives me a concerned look, but follows along behind her. Once Amy and Marcus make a good distance down the hall, Dennis lets out a nervous laugh. And then there were two, he says. Dennis looks much better, but he still needs to use the wall to stay standing. Didn't Amy say there were guns emergency kits in the maintenance room near the hangar doors, I ask. Yeah, I think so, he says, looking exhausted. I look ahead to see a door to the right that reads maintenance. Might as well give it a try. I go to the door and try to open it, and find that it's locked. Probably very secure. Let's just try to push it with our shoulder. Give it a hard shut, but it doesn't budge. I'm about to try again, but that's when I hear a gunshot from just down the hallway. Shit. My first thought is that Amy and Marcus might have come up on one of those things, one of the monsters. But I don't hear any of the strange static sound I've come to associate with them. Alarm bells go off in my head before I know it. I'm heading back down the hall away from the hangar doors. Stay here, I'll be right back, I whisper over my shoulder to Dennis. See if you can figure out how to get into that maintenance room. Where are you going? He asks. I don't bother answering him as I bound through the door where Amy and Marcus went. As I enter the biochem room and start walking between the massive silos, I wonder what classified chemicals could be inside of them. I am fully expecting one of Amy's creatures to come flying out from the intersection of halls up ahead. I think I overhear a voice. A woman's voice. It's Amy. Stop. Let go of the gun. I run ahead so fast that I almost trip over two people in a life-or-death struggle. My mind tries to process what I'm seeing, but it makes no sense at all. Marcus is wrestling Amy, trying to take her gun away. When this doesn't work, he throws her to the ground and starts choking her. Her face is turning purple and his eyes look like they might pop out of her head. Marcus seems to be coming down the hallway, but acts as if what he's doing is perfectly normal. Stop. I start rushing towards him before I really know what I'm doing. I bring my fist down in a hard arc across the bridge of his nose and am rewarded with a sickening crack sound. He cries out as he falls to the ground, looks at me as if he doesn't understand why I punched him. On the floor, Amy clutches her neck and gasps for breath. I start to fear that a moment ago I was too late just as I see that rifle has been thrown across the floor. Marcus seems to notice this at the exact moment I do. Going for the rifle. We both go for the rifle at once. He takes a single stumbling step towards it, wobbling a bit from my punch. I dive for it, and when I hit the floor, it feels like I am a baseball player trying to steal third. Our hands both fall on it, but when I yank it away, he manages to kick me, knocking the rifle to the floor again. The kick catches me squarely in my ribs, knocking the breath out of me. "What the hell are you doing?" he yells at me. "By killing her, I'm saving us, all of us. This was her fault." I sense that he truly believes this, but if that's the case, then why not just attack her when we are all together? The answer is simple. We might have stopped him. He wanted to kill her in private. Then what? Will he have done the same to Dennis and me? It seems fitting, really. When we first came upon Marcus, he'd held a gun on us. I've been so relieved to see another human being that I'd underestimated just how unhinged he was. Marcus and I both dove for the rifle, still laying on the floor, and started wrestling for possession. But I'm not confident I'll come away with it. As we struggle, he starts inching the muzzle of the gun towards my face, a position I don't want to be in. I start punching back hard. But if this thing accidentally fires, I'm not sure where I'd prefer the bullet to go, especially in this room full of chemical tanks. Let's not chance chemicals. I grunt as I press the muzzle towards his face. Realizing he is literally looking down the barrel of a gun, Marcus ducks his head out of the way. This makes him lose leverage, allowing me to yank the gun from his grip. I get to my feet as quickly as I can, swinging the rifle around on him. For a moment, I think I've knocked him out, but his eyes flutter and he looked at me as if I had betrayed him. "Her people," he says. "It was them that did this. She deserves to die. She did this." I look to Amy and wish I could help her. I'm relieved to see she is managing to draw in a few breaths. Her legs move as she tries to push herself into a sitting position. "You wouldn't know," Marcus says. "You didn't work here under their security. You don't know what it was like to..." He surprises me by lunging towards me, leaping from the floor like a human projectile. I don't have time to aim carefully. I have to react fast. Dodge. His aim is poor and his strength is failing, so I dodge him easily. I don't want to have a gunshot go off and alert those creatures to where we are. Make a hard jab of my butt towards the rifle, striking him in his chest. Something crunches and he lets out a whoosh of air. He crumples for a moment, and then goes to his knees. He roars in pain on the floor. Only after a few moments I realize that they are not purely screams of pain. The bastard is calling for them, calling for those creatures to come for us. This place is evil. Along with everyone involved, he wails from the floor. If you are taking her side, you deserve to die too. If you want to stop me, you better do it now, you coward. The rage in his eyes at Amy, as well as towards me for stopping him, makes me think that he'll deliver on his threat. I raise the rifle again, every urge in my body wanting to make sure he doesn't come back to bite us. But I'm not a violent man. I could easily not kill him, I just leave him behind. I aim for his head and start to squeeze the trigger, but I cannot complete the motion while I'm looking at him. I close my eyes tight and squeeze the trigger. The muzzle bursts and I hear Marcus crumple onto the floor. It's not for another 10 seconds or so that I realize I've been standing still, frozen, with my eyes closed and my teeth clenched. I try to avoid looking at Marcus's body and instead lead down to Amy. "You okay?" I ask. She nods slowly. "Have to go," she says, her voice raspy. "They'll be here any minute. Too much noise." I have to hold her arm so she can get to her feet. We start forward and then I think of Dennis. "We should go back to the hangar doors," I say. "I can't just leave Dennis there." "There's no time," Amy says. "You need to come with me up to the command center. Now. We'll be back for him soon." I stare at Marcus's dead body for a moment, trying to comprehend the fact that my own hands caused him to die. It's a turning point in my life now that I'll never recover from. But there's no time to weigh it out. As I look at him, another high-pitched static sound rings out from elsewhere. It's louder, more ferocious. Amy takes off, presumably towards the other elevator she had mentioned moments ago. As we move out, I look back once more at Marcus's body, motionless. We start running, and after the first few strides, another noise sounds out. It's mechanical, but it sounds mechanical, but at the same time, it also reminds me of recordings I'd heard of whale songs. I dare to look behind us and see something has entered the doorway I came through. It is large and bright, but it looks too far away to see clearly, and I have no interest in seeing it. Whether pulling that hydraulic door would have helped, I'm not sure, but seeing how close they are, I regret not doing it. I speed up my step to follow Amy as she leads the way to the other elevator. She's panting furiously, but pushes on. I can hear something rattling in her breath, likely the result of Marcus's attack. This makes me imagine how his cold, uncaring eyes must have looked, staring down at her as he tried to deliver her to death. How she is still forging on is beyond me. Sorry about Marcus, I say. It's not your fault, she interrupts. At least you handed me the gun. I just hope we can find a way to survive this mess. Oh, we'll be fine, don't you worry. I'm not so sure, she says, her eyes fixed straight ahead. I'm not sure I can blame her. I just wanted to say something encouraging, I guess. We finally come to the elevator at the end of the row of silos. Now I'm more concerned with the monstrosity that is on our heels. Amy furiously slaps the button on to open the doors. The slide opens slowly. It feels like it's taking forever. We squeeze in before the doors are open all the way, Amy actually falling to her knees and screaming. I ready the rifle and watch helplessly as the doors finally reach their full opening capacity. As they hold open, I see a large shape floating towards us. A phosphorescent-like white glow outlines an impossible shape. Behind it, I see another shape that's also entered the biochem room, and another. The third one breaks away from the other two, taking a quick right, and moves with eerie speed. They're heading in the direction of Marcus's body. Honestly, the thought of them feasting on his corpse doesn't bother me in the slightest. Amy is pressing the button to close the elevator doors over and over, but stay open for what seems like an eternity. I curse whoever designed these damn doors. Yeah, let's just hide. Amy and I slide ourselves up against the sides of the elevator, trying to avoid being seen. But I can't help peeking around the corner. I hold the rifle steady, ready to fire, and that's when I see them in clear light for the first time. I can see their features, their shape, and their colors, but mine can't quite process it all. Nothing about them makes any sense. My eyes try to see a squid, but that's not what these things are. They are gray and white and seem to be nothing more than squirming light. Their appendages are neither legs nor tentacles, but somewhere in between. They don't walk on these appendages, but use them to glide. They move like ghosts and seem to jerk every few feet or so. But I'm pretty sure that this jerking effect is not a result of their moving, but my mind's inability to understand how they are moving exactly. It's also more than their appearance and makes a mockery of reality. The light around them seems to bend inward, as if the space within the room has to reshape itself for its existence. That peculiar effect on the air makes their movements seem like something moving underwater, only faster. They screech in unison as they rush towards the elevator. They'll be inside here in a few seconds. I check the rifle and see that my ammo is diminishing. I have to start saving my shots. I'm going to have to be choosy. Don't shoot. There's too many of them to do anything anyway. They keep advancing. Even though I know the doors may not close in time, I manage to keep my cool and avoid firing off any more rounds. My finger itches to pull the trigger, but I resist. I'm not even sure a gun would affect them. Finally, the elevator door closes. The creatures wash against the other side of the door, making an electrical noise and crying out in anger. The tips of their spider-like appendages poke through the wall and the elevator door. But for some reason, they can't get all the way through. Amy screams at this and curls into a ball on the far side of the elevator, crying. I say nothing to her, just cling to the rifle, hoping these creatures don't find Dennis as he waits by the hangar doors where I left him. For his sake and ours, we need to get them open now. That was a heavy chapter. Alright, 59% of people told Dennis he'd be fine. Okay, 65% said, yep. Good. Okay. Well, I'm in the majority for most of these this time. And, yep. I'm gonna leave this one here. See you all in Chapter 5.